I feel like I'm in the Matrix, and the Matrix is deconstructing right before my eyes. There's no denying that COVID-19 has abruptly pushed our world into a massive state of change. But have you paused to consider the internal shifts that have taken place within you? In this episode, I talk about the perspective shift that you're experiencing and may not even know it. The importance of remaining curious versus being dead set in your beliefs and ideas. My personal struggle with my book writing and why you might be struggling with your projects too. Why it's crucial to embrace the unknowingness and why having zero answers right now is beneficial to the growth of your life, business, and purpose. Now, if you're like me and you feel like you need to calm your nervous system during this time, I highly, highly encourage you to adopt a daily breath work ritual. You've probably heard about breath work. Maybe you're new to it. Maybe you've tried it and aren't sure. Maybe you're looking for a different form of breath work. Whatever it is, I have fallen in love with Marcel Hoff's dopamine activation breathing course. His DAB technique has helped me both calm my nervous system every single morning and gain the energy I need to get through the day. It's incredible. And if you sign up through me and enter Ruby at the checkout, RUBY, you will save 70% on the course. So head to rubyfremon.com/DAB. That's DAB. And then enter Ruby at the checkout to save 70%. Now, if you have a question about this episode or you want to connect with me or share a number one takeaway, please shoot me a text message at 1-781-336-0160. And just remember to mention the episode number, which today's episode is 177. If you're not a fan of text for whatever reason and you'd rather stay in connection via email, then join my email community at rubyfremon.com/subscribe. Now, whether you are a loyal thought leader or a brand new listener, please take a moment to download a few episodes and drop a rating and a review on iTunes. This would really help me out. Now it is time to talk about life, business, and purpose after COVID-19. Hey, thought leaders, and welcome to another episode of today's Thought Leader. So today is going to be one of those episodes where I am going to be processing a thought, something that's been on my mind. It isn't even a single thought. It's sort of what I've been sitting with. And I think it'll resonate with you. But just bear with me because I am in the midst of it. I am using this episode as an opportunity to talk my way through it and hopefully start to connect some dots. And I hope it also starts to connect some dots for you. So I am now in week 8 of staying at home in quote unquote quarantine, as are many of you listening. And it's brought up a lot, right? Like, to be in quarantine brings up a lot, but what's been coming up in the forefront of my mind has been this idea of or this feeling that something just doesn't feel the same. And that sounds kind of silly, right? Because nothing's the same. And even pre-COVID, every day is different. But what we've experienced is a dramatically rapid shift in our world, seemingly overnight. I mean, within a couple of weeks, the entire world, think about this, the entire fucking world was put in quarantine in their homes. When does anything like that happen? That in itself is kind of a mind fuck for a multitude of reasons, but this isn't the episode for that. This is the episode for the perspective shift that we are all sitting in, and this perspective shift is internal. So, pre-COVID-19, you knew what you knew, right? I knew what I knew. We were in our routines, in our businesses. We knew our purpose. Like, we just knew. We knew what we knew. And all of a sudden, here we are post COVID-19, and we don't know what we don't know. But the real question is, do you know what you don't know? And that's where I find myself a lot. And I shared this in a previous episode about how I've been in a very observational state. I've been observing the world, my friends, my fellow entrepreneurs, my peers, people on social media. I've been observing, and I've also been observing myself. I've been in a deep observational state of my own shit that's been coming to the surface, right? And there is so much that I don't know, but there's also, there's probably a lot that I don't know. And I invite you to consider that right now too, because I think, well, from what I've been observing, everyone's in a rush to create some sort of certainty in their lives, because things feel uncertain, even though things were never certain. Things feel more uncertain than usual. And so everyone is trying to grab hold onto something, whether it's a belief, a theory, whatever it is, because that creates some sense of safety. And I've been actually sitting in the space of the unknown, sitting in the uncertainty, sitting in the not knowingness, which is incredibly uncomfortable. It's super uncomfortable. For example, right now, and this is like super top of mind. So pre-COVID-19, the few weeks leading up to COVID, had actually started writing my book. I've been working on my book since January of this year, but I actually started writing it a few weeks prior to COVID. And I was averaging 1,500 to 2,000 words a day with ease. Like, it was just flowing out of me. It felt so good. And then COVID happened, and the words aren't flowing. There are many days where I don't write a single thing. And when I do write, it's a struggle to even get 500 words. I was sitting with my chapter on freedom. I have a chapter on freedom in my book. And I was attempting to write that over the past 2 weeks. And normally it doesn't take me 2 weeks to write a chapter. I could breeze through this in a day. And I realized when I got to the end of writing that chapter that I wasn't happy with what I wrote, that something didn't align, something didn't fit. And it's because of this shift in my perspective of what freedom really means. Pre-COVID, I had a different idea of freedom. And post-COVID, I have a different view on freedom. And I'm also still unpacking what that means to me right now, because I am someone who embodies freedom from the inside. In fact, I did this work on to the next level when I was in Peru last year. And yet here I am feeling super free on the inside. Like, I feel like a free human being. And at the same time, I can't go to the beach. I'm not allowed. So there's this weird shift in freedom, and one could argue that, well, Ruby, if you truly felt free from the inside, it wouldn't matter that you couldn't get to the beach. And sure, I can see that from a super 5D lens, right? But we live in a 3D world, and I used to be able to go to the beach anytime I wanted to. It's 5 blocks from our house. Why we live here. And now I can't. It feels like the walls are closing in, and we're being trained to get used to this new way of living when this isn't what I signed up for. So yes, we can continue to shift from within and feel free from within until when, though? That's my question. Until we find ourselves in a prison cell? That'd be interesting, right? And if you heard last week's episode with Garen Jones, he spoke about this too. And he did find that sense of freedom from in a prison cell. But it's like we're going the other way. We're going from the other direction of having the freedom and then having the walls close in. So anyways, I digress, and that could be a whole other episode. But what I realized was I was struggling to write this chapter on freedom because my initial definition, belief of freedom is different than the post-COVID. And I have yet to really unpack what freedom now means. And so I'm allowing myself the space to sit with it finally after much resistance with my book. My book is really on potency. Hint, hint. I'm just going to give away some of the, I haven't really talked about this actually. I've been talking about it. I'm writing a book, but well, here you go. My book is on potency. I don't have a title yet. Don't even have a working title, but it's on the idea of potent leadership. And because, my mission is to give the world a voice, and I'm here to support leaders like you in owning your voice and owning your truth and being the fullest expression of who you be so you can lead your purpose from that place. And I call that potency, right? That's your potency. And so pre-COVID-19, my definition of potency was really your truth, your essence, you being the fullest expression of you. And post-COVID-19, my definition for potency, again, it's still something I'm unpacking, just like freedom. It's still your truth. It's still your essence. It's still you being the fullest expression of you. And yet that expression is shifting because humanity is shifting. And the importance of potent leadership is different now. The role that potent leadership has in our world is now different. I feel that pre-COVID-19, potent leadership was one of those things that people were just starting to step into if they were in the space of spiritual development, personal development. And now I feel post-COVID-19 that it's come more to the forefront, that people who aren't even in this space are noticing that they need something more, they want something more, they crave something more. And so the need for potent leadership is different. It's become amplified. And because of that, the perspective of my book needs to shift. And at the same time, I don't know what it's shifting to. So it's like this mind fuck of a place, right? And you've probably experienced this too in other ways in your business, in your purpose, in your mission. Like my personal potency right now is shifting. My personal potency is shifting. I've slowed down a lot. I am really embracing less is more. I've been on a mission of less is more for the past year and a half, but right now I'm really embracing less is more. I'm also embracing nurture versus do more, which is kind of new for me. I've always been a nurturer, but this is different. This is like really nurturing my clients on a different level, my current offers, which I really just have there's 2 ways you can work with me. That's it. And all those ways are full. So really just nurturing that and nurturing myself in so many different ways. So nurturing versus doing more, and really stepping into this next level of owning who I am. Now, if you've known me for a while, you've been following me for a while, you've been listening for a while, you know that I am a woman, a leader who stands with conviction in what she has to offer, right? Like I'm super fucking confident in what I have to offer. And right now, I feel like I'm entering this next level of owning who I am, of owning my gifts, of owning my place on this planet. And again, this is still something I'm unpacking, just with everything else. I'm still unpacking this shift in perspective. And as I am working on these things within myself and being with it all, I'm also witnessing what's happening in the external world. I'm witnessing the social media landscape and observing what's going on and how leaders are showing up. And I have yet to really piece it together. I mean, I can make comments on what I've been noticing and how I've noticed a lot of people. There are people kind of on two sides of the fence. There are those who are screaming, um, they're shouting their beliefs out there, and they are standing firmly in that, not willing to listen to anything else or anyone else, not willing to shift perspectives. And then there are those who are also in this observational state, such as the one I'm in, and they're curious and they're using their discernment. And I'm not saying one way is better than the other, but I am saying that one of these ways is going to offer you access to new information, both about our external world and our internal world. And that's to remain curious. But within that, from that side of the fence, when you're remaining curious, when you're remaining open, when you're listening to everyone, when you're honoring everyone where they're at, and when you're observing and using your discernment, there's also a lot of uncertainty, right? There's a lot of not knowing the answers, in a world where everyone really wants to know the answers, or everyone, and in an industry, the personal development, spiritual development, leadership industry, or even entrepreneurship for that matter, where everyone is in such a fucking rush to know the answers and then to preach the fucking answers and then to brag about knowing the answers. It is much tougher to show up and claim that you don't know shit, that you don't know the answers, that you don't know what's going to happen, how this is going to unfold, who's right, who's wrong. We don't know. I mean, fuck it. I don't even know how my book's going to turn out. I don't even know what I'm writing on right now. All I know is it's the topic that I am passionate about because this is my mission and my purpose, and the entire perspective of it is changing to what I don't know, right? And it's that not knowingness which can feel super uncomfortable. Some days I feel like I'm in the matrix, and the matrix is literally crumbling to create something new, both within me and outside of me. And there's other days where it feels like what I once believed, I no longer believe. And what I once resonated, I no longer resonate with. And that can be people, that can be thoughts, that can be beliefs, that can be anything, right? And maybe you're feeling this too, a shift in your perspective, both in your inner and outer worlds. It's uncomfortable as fuck, and it's really frustrating because you're used to feeling and experiencing or even being something different, right? And now all of a sudden things have shifted into what, again, we don't know. But when you really look at your life, when you really look at your journey, you'll see that your entire life journey was a series of perspective shifts. They just happened at a much slower pace, which made it easier for you to mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically keep up with the shifts. COVID-19 has created a rapid shift. And this is why you suddenly feel different. And that can be jarring to the system, right? It can be jarring to your nervous system, to your emotional state, to your mental state, to your physical state, to your spiritual state. And this can impact you in different ways. I've seen people experience a surge of energy, like my husband, and people who have experienced a slowdown in their energy, like me. There are those who have a boost in creativity, and those who feel a lack of creativity right now. Something is different. And you can continue to resist this because you so desperately want to cling on to what you knew to be true pre-COVID, what you knew to be true of you, what you knew to be true of your life, of your business, of your purpose, or you can accept it and be with it so you can embrace this new perspective and this leg of your journey. You feel uncertain, you feel uncomfortable. You're in the not knowingness of everything. And trust me, I get it. I'm right there with you. And I was in the quicksand of resistance for the past few weeks of being like, what the fuck is going on? Of beating myself up for not being able to write, of comparing myself to other people, other leaders, and really not knowing what to do or how to be. And with the help of my support system, my two coaches and my dear, my close family, my friends, I realized that it's okay to be where I'm at. And in fact, this is a welcomed state because it's simply a perspective shift. And I'm just catching up to see what this shift is. But I need to allow myself that space to catch up to it. So this is where I find myself, accepting and embracing the perspective shift. Quarantine has forced all of us to face our shadows. I've been talking to a lot of people about this, and it seems to be true for many, for at least everyone I've spoken to, is that your shadows are coming to the surface. Stuff that you thought you had worked on a while back, even years ago, is now coming up again, right? Quarantine is forcing you to face your relationships, to both to others and to yourself. It's forcing you to face your purpose and face your business, to look at what's still working in your life, purpose, and business and relationships, and what's no longer working. It's forcing you to look at what's still in alignment and what's no longer in alignment. It is a massive fucking perspective shift. And maybe it's not clear yet. Maybe you're where I'm at, where you're like, it's not clear what's going on in this shift. You're just like in it and you're swimming through it and you have no idea where you're swimming to, but you're swimming. So you're feeling the shift, which means it's an invitation to be with it. Don't resist it. In fact, stop swimming and just float. Oh, isn't that a nice visual? I say that out loud because it's a nice visual for me. Like, just float, just be with it. Don't resist it. Honor your shifted pace, whatever that pace is. Honor your shifted ideas, whatever those ideas are. Honor your shifted beliefs, whatever those beliefs are. Honor your shifted values, if your values have shifted. Honor your shifted perspective on your life, your business, and your purpose, because this is where you're at. And you can deny it all you want, but this is where you are at. The faster you accept and honor this shift, the easier it will be for you to lead your life, business, and purpose in this new shift. And I say this for you and me. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Today's Thought Leader, where I am challenging you to rise up, speak up, and create a movement. Please be sure to download a few episodes and drop a rating and review on iTunes. I so appreciate it. And if you have a question about this episode, or you'd like to share with me your number one takeaway or an insight that you had, please text me. Text me at 1781-336-0160. And be sure to mention the episode number, episode 177. And when you text me, the first text message you'll get back from me is an automation. But after that, once you have entered your contact info and I know who I'm texting, I will be texting with you directly from my phone. So shoot me a text. And finally, let's connect on social. If we're not already connected, please do so. My handle is @IamRuby. Make sure you check back on Monday for a new episode of Today's Thought Leader, where Rachel Luna and I dive into a deep conversation on authenticity, validation, and uncertainty. Thank you, Thought Leaders.